Well, welcome, everybody, anime fans alike. It's episode 75 of the RedLeafRetrocast. I'm your host, JD, naturally joined by Hickey and Tori. Down one since day one. Down with us since day one. There we go. How you guys doing?
Who are you asking?
I don't care.
Okay. Then I guess you're not getting an answer.
Thank you. I also don't care about you.
Nobody cares about each other here. We talk to each other on the podcast, and that's about it.
There we go. Nice beer I'm cracking for this podcast. We're discussing Ghost in the Shell.
We are?
Yes, we are doing that.
Damn.
The movie, not the show that spans 26 episodes.
I don't know why aren't we covering 2045? I finished that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it since the the impression.
To be more correct, I watched the 12 episodes that are currently out, and I could talk a little bit about that before we get into the Ghost in the Shell movie.
Okay, well that's fine. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I have some thoughts.
I finished Brand New Animal, the Trigger show.
Mm-hmm.
It was entertaining, I suppose. It didn't quite go in the direction that I was expecting nor wanted.
Didn't go into space?
It did not go into space, so therefore, awful Trigger show.
Yep.
Immediately. That is the rule. I don't make it up. But yeah, I mean, I was entertained. It was fine. It had the whole eugenics thing, but it wasn't part of this nefarious plot. Know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, I get the direction they went in, but it just lacked that true villain that a lot of the Trigger shows seem to have. It was just more focused on a vague idea rather than this guy's bad and he's bent on his own agenda kind of situation. I thought the show was heading towards that sort of plot point and ending, but it never got there. It wasn't going there as we found out, so take it for face value. I mean, it wasn't as egregious as other Trigger shows I have watched, that's for sure. It just it wasn't bold enough to do anything to really challenge the viewer. That's my take on Brand New Animal. So yeah. So, I will ask you guys our usual, how is everyone, what you've been doing officially. I've been watching the Bundesliga, realizing that the Bundesliga is not in as great shape as one could imagine. I was reading articles that basically a lot of the lower table teams and the second division are basically to the point of going under because they make so much of their value out off of the games and ticket sales and all that stuff, and they can't do that. So the Bundesliga is like, well, it's either we have a league or never a league again. So
I mean, obviously it sucks. It's not just the Bundesliga. It's a problem that happens a lot now. There are a lot of clubs that are staring bankruptcy in the face right now, and it's a shame. I'm just happy that football back. I missed it. But
yeah, I was watching the Gladbach Leverkusen game with Gladbach putting all the cardboard cutouts as fans.
I saw that.
It's a pretty cool sight. I liked it. It's very unique. They didn't go the route of the South Korean baseball team that put sex dolls in the audience.
Yeah,
so,
I'm honestly really disappointed.
Could have been a 10 out of 10 there for Gladbach, but they only went 8 out of 10 on it.
I don't understand why that South Korean team had to apologize. I don't see the problem.
Yeah, really, right?
Just a bunch of sex dolls was the problem. Oh no, they're advertising adult sites. How horrible. Never seen that anywhere. Excuse me, football club that is literally sponsored by Pornhub.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm really wondering if a lot of these teams are gonna pipe in crowd noise during the games.
Yeah, I mean they could, but I don't know how effective that would be. I don't
see reason to do that, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice having the noise, but also knowing that they're not really there and that it's kind of just artificial. I don't know if that's going to do very much. In that case, I think it's just better for them to be able to actually hear their coach scream at them for once.
That would be funny. Just have the coach mic'd up the entire time, screaming. Oh God, could you imagine Jurgen Klopp with a mic, a live mic? Oh no.
I mean, I don't know.
But enough about football. We got big news from the Red Leaf Retrocast.
Yeah.
Past couple weeks, with our Podbean host site coming to an end, with the price point and whatnot, we have officially transferred the podcast to the host site Anchor. And of course, with that, it didn't go off without a hitch. There was some issues with it, namely, there's a few sites that just did not want to cooperate. iTunes being the main one there. There was a glitch in their system where the auto RSS feed, it took some sort of so as it was explained to me by an iTunes representative, is the auto system took a different podcast where it's just the Red Leaf podcast or something, and it took their RSS feed, and they kind of conflicted with each other. Therefore, our podcast was deleted from iTunes, so we have to resubmit. We're currently waiting on approval, and all our past reviews are lost in the ether. Lost in the net.
So basically, if you've ever left a review on iTunes, then please reconsider going back there and leaving it again if if it comes back. But yeah, no, iTunes being broken? No way, really? I didn't see that coming. That doesn't happen ever. iTunes have never been broken.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. So any of those sites that gets a feed directly from iTunes, the Blurberry, the Overcast, just be a little patient with that. Regardless, we still have our YouTube channel with every past episode up. Anchor is fully working and functional, along with a lot of the sites that are tied into Anchor. Those of you that listen on Spotify, everything's 100% up there. There was no problem with Spotify at all. That was very easy. And luckily, that's where a large majority of our audience listens from, is Spotify. Spotify and CastBox and Player FM. Player FM's working, no problem there. We're now on even more sites because of Anchor's hosting abilities. We're on Radio Public now. TuneIn Radio's up and running. iHeartRadio is seeing a huge increase. So the benefits of Anchor, along with its price point of free, is very much to our advantage. And with that, I also launched the official website of the Red Leaf Retrocast. RedLeafRetrocast.blogspot.com. That will replace the large amount of text that you see in every episode with all the descriptions and all that. It will just simply point you to Linktree and the website. And I'm getting good feedback so far. I worked pretty tough yesterday to get it all finished up and done. It was a lot to take on and learn, that's for sure, since I've never dealt with basic code.
Yeah, the fun of starting out, and no, I don't want to do that ever again. It's okay, it works, it looks fine. You know, it's not a particularly amazing website in any capacity, but you know what, it does the job. So, and you know, again, it's free, which is the benefit. You know, you could obviously always go to stuff like Squarespace and shit like that and get a more professional looking website, but they also charge for that, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And since we don't monetize this podcast anyway, this is all for our fun and hobby. It's only fair to the audience that we don't charge you or we don't pay for anything.
That's right. Speaking of which, we're starting a Patreon.
Speaking of which, we need to get more professional here. Monetize the shit out of everything. You will hear non-stop commercials every 7 minutes from now on. No. God, no.
make a
So yes,
make a live 24 hours stream, but instead of podcast, just commercials, and there's like 1 hour of podcasting.
We won't know. We won't tell people when that is. It's just at some point during the 24 hours we'll show up and podcast. You'll have to stick around to figure out when.
Yeah. So yes, every past episode, basically what I was able to do was correlate the links and every past episode through Podbean, our previous site. They were very good to us. Full 3 years with them. It's no joke. It took the aesthetic from the Podbean website that we had, and all the links will point there. And there's even a download option on the website where you can directly download each and every episode of the past. This will open up with any projects that we feel like we could do. The options there. I hope to plan on doing some interesting things with it, just for every podcast episode we've ever done, with at least my score next to each episode. Certain tabs will open up. Tori has a YouTube channel. Hopefully,
I do indeed.
Yep. So that's got its own little tab there. You can subscribe. So yes, anybody who's a host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, anybody who has their own projects on the side, it will be featured on the site. That is the plan. Will I maintain it is a different story altogether. But at the very least, Tori, you do have your plug on the site.
Yay!
Cannot wait to put all my articles about constitutional law. And that's
Hickey's our lawyer after all.
So yeah, hope everyone likes it. Worked really hard. I'm very proud of my basic understanding, one might say.
the version 30 of the site is definitely better than the version 20. The version 20 was way too cursed. The version 30 is getting somewhere.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah. So yes, let's see. Been playing video games myself.
No way.
On the side. Oh yeah, I was playing Duke Nukem Land of the Babes last night. That was quite the experience.
Duke Nukem in the
Hey
Land
Duke,
of Babies.
what's up? What's up? Oh my god. It's the dialogue in it is so 90s. It just, I don't know if it would pass today, but I was getting a huge crack out of it with things like "What's up?" Kicking ass, the usual.
I was about to say, did you chew bubblegum and kick ass?
I was kicking ass, taking names, and chewing bubblegum. There's even a phone call. I posted on Twitter at BowlingJD with, "Hey Duke, I miss you. I miss your huge body." He goes, "Sorry, baby, I'm busy. You got to use your fingers," or something like that. It was great. It's like the most comedic, misogynistic game you could imagine. It's very comical.
America.
It's very late 90s, early 2000s.
Very
raunchy.
America.
It's great. Aliens taking over and taking my babes. Not on my watch. It's great. Crash Bandicoot 3, I was playing that as well for the Future Retro Gaming Podcast. Yeah, it's been quite the couple weeks with all that I've been doing. How about you guys?
Yeah, well, it's been pretty quiet. I've been trying to get into watching anime again because with the whole season stopping, I've kind of just stopped watching. So
Yeah,
that's, tried to get rid of that. I also took to streaming yesterday, tried streaming some Indivisible. I suck at that game, but you know what? That's fine. I recently,
well, you have big news why you did that, right?
Yes. Well, I recently hit 500 subs on my YouTube channel, so,
Yay!
I figured I should probably do something, but I didn't really have any idea, so, I just decided, fuck it, let's just do a stream. Gotta test out my new computer as well, seeing if streaming is a viable thing for me. It's it's still testing, so I don't know how often I'll be doing it. If I'll be doing it again, I'll probably do it again because it's fun, but I can't promise anything. I can't say, I'm going to do one once a week. I don't know. It'll be whenever. I still have some stuff I need to work out with. Still need to learn more about OBS. I'm not entirely familiar with the program yet, so still a lot
cannot wait.
things that needs to be worked out and shit like that.
Cannot wait for your VTuber debut.
Alright, yeah, no, that's coming. Just as soon as I can afford live tube.
Are you really gonna get a
No,
VTuber
it's
going?
No.
Come on, that would be amazing.
You should do the Hololive audition. just for the shits and giggles.
Actually, that went out today, so no can do.
No, that sucks.
No, it doesn't. That's totally a-okay. I don't think VTubing would be for me. I just feel like, I couldn't do that.
I just think that things many reasons it's too long to list in the podcast. You know what?
Yeah,
I just cannot do
basically,
it.
it's like, you know what? I could list every reason why to be a VTuber real fast, but I could list way more reasons why not to. And let's just leave it at that.
Hickey, everything going well on your end?
Everything going great. Aside,
All right.
the country, but yeah, it's
Oh
fun.
well,
They try to.
No country's going great right now, so that's okay.
They try to do the soft coup again against the president. Released kind of some information, like a video about a reunion between the basically government reunion, and it's just glorious. It's almost 2 hours of just gloriousness. I'm so glad I voted to that guy. I was having so much fun watching it. And yeah, it's been actually quite good. Yesterday I worked from home. And yeah, I wish I had more beer at home, but it's okay.
Ooh. I got plenty of beer. I got a lot of wrestling to watch after the podcast today. I got a big pay-per-view tonight. Big Discord watch party. So if you're a wrestling fan, you can join us in there. And if you want to join the Discord, you totally can. How about that, guys? We should probably plug that thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. It's your
Absolutely.
It's your Discord.
We got a good little, nice, tight community there. I feel it's pretty good.
Yeah, I peek in there sometimes, but they're talking about wrestling, so
That's usually what the Discord is talking about. Occasionally there's some video games, but yeah, not much on the anime front, but hey, there's no reason we can't pump that up a little bit.
Nah, that's all right.
No reason to. So yes, Tori, how about we just get this thing going? What do you say?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Alrighty, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Tori, your quest, if you would.
That's right. I am still doing my quest, although I have been caught up to now, so I need to get watching again. But I do still have a show to talk about. And no, JD, it is not You're Under Arrest.
Well, I mean, I didn't feel like deleting it in the agenda, alright?
Clearly.
I have nothing to go on. I could have asked you, but that ruins the surprise for me.
Exactly. Why would you ever ask? So, we got to...
Gotta make this into a shoot.
We got to you on my quest, meaning that it's time for everyone's favorite original anime that totally doesn't have a manga it's based on. It's Usagi Drop.
Oh. Not Rashomon.
Nope, it's Usagi Drop.
Such a good original
Usagi
anime.
Drop is a... Yeah, I know, right? Usagi Drop is an 11 episode...
Could have watched more Rashomon. I'm very disappointed in you.
I know. It's an 11 episode TV series produced by Production IG, not based on a manga. I don't know why everybody claims it, but it's I don't know what they're talking about. And yeah, it's directed by Kanta Kame, who has done stuff.
Done stuff. I like that description.
Such as Dimension W. That's all you need to know. Dimension W was amazing, wasn't it? But yeah.
It was incredibly average, but I found it quite entertaining.
I did not. All right. Anyways.
I was not bored. Anyways.
The synopsis from Mal says...
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I request you do an Anime Planet one. For
look,
God's sake.
I am not gonna bother looking up Anime Planet right now.
For God's sake,
Nope.
I will
Daikichi
get it right now,
Kawachi
Tori.
is a 30-year-old bachelor working a respectable
son of a
job,
bitch.
but otherwise wandering aimlessly through life. When his grandfather suddenly passes away, he returns to the family home to pay his respects. Upon arriving at the house, he meets a mysterious young girl named Rin, who, to Daikichi's astonishment, is his grandfather's illegitimate daughter. The shy and unapproachable girl is deemed an embarrassment to the family, and finds herself ostracized by her father's relatives, all of them refusing to take care of her in the wake of his death. Daikichi, angered by their coldness towards Rin, announces that he will take her in, despite the fact that he is a young single man with no prior childcare experience. So yeah, basically, it tells the story of Daikichi picking up a girl and kind of having to raise her completely by himself.
Okay, hot question here.
Yes.
Got a hot question that requires a hot answer.
Okay.
Okay. You ready for me to drop this fire on you, Tori? Be careful not to
Yes.
get burned.
Yes.
Okay. The grandfather had the child, and I don't remember. Was it with a different woman than his wife?
Yes.
Yes.
Was the wife passed away already?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think
Because
that
that little detail I don't remember.
I don't think they actually mentioned that.
But
All I know is that
was
the maid is his maid is the one who got pregnant.
Right, I remember. I remember that now. Yes, but I don't remember if his wife was long past already.
Well, they don't. Like I said, they don't say that. They don't mention his wife. But considering the fact that
so-
she's never mentioned it, has never been in the picture as long as they're talking, she wasn't considered anybody that needed to be at the funeral or anybody that needed to be contacted. So I'm going to go and assume that yes, she's probably passed. Either that or he never got married, and I don't know. His uncle is was apparently a weird. Well, he was apparently a fucking weird guy. So
Well, I mean, yeah, he seduced and impregnated a woman at the age of 80 years old.
yeah,
Hey, man.
that's pretty impressive to be honest.
It is
You got to give it up to him. I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, it's
Now, genetically, that's not, the most advantageous thing for the evolutionary traits, but anyways.
who cares about that. So yeah, no, essentially the story is just Daikichi
Did you
kind
cry?
of trying to raise this girl, trying his best. I did not cry. It's never really got that emotional.
Heartless monster.
Yeah, I know, right?
Heartless.
It didn't really get. Well, it's not. There isn't really anything to cry for. It's not. It's not sad.
God, Tori, do you just not have emotions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fair.
There's nothing to be sad about. It's kind of like he takes in the girl, he raises it. There are some complications because raising a child is difficult, especially by yourself. Like him kind of having to go away from his job, or rather be asked to be demoted, because it's just he can't. He has to live in at a daycare, which is like really far away, and then go to work. But
I just
because
don't
of his
understand
job,
why he
has...
just didn't leave her in a cage at home.
Yeah, right. Why wouldn't they do that? It's
Give her a nice little wheel to run on and some water.
yeah, sure, some dog food while you're at it.
I mean, look, no need to be cruel. You could give her like a carrot or something.
Yeah, okay, of course.
At least some vegetables. I mean, my God, dog food, Tori. Jeez.
I mean, but
You act like she's some
but
sort of
dog
animal.
food is quite nutritious. It's good for the dog's hair, so
Yeah.
I guess for a child,
Hey.
it's okay.
Yeah, sure, I guess. But yeah,
Can't believe this guy would take a demotion.
yeah, I know, right?
Unbelievable.
I can't sacrifice his career for a child, please.
They're just small, unemployed humans. Let's get real
Exactly.
here.
Get a job. But yeah, no. It's,
No wonder this family shunned her.
Nah, but it's nice. It's nice seeing.
Living off other people's goodwill. Ugh.
It's nice seeing it. Like, getting familiar with a lot like Japanese traditions as well, like child raising traditions. Seeing her kind of go from being a little kid, getting entered into daycare, eventually starting school for the first time and all that, and seeing this little, like, you know, non-conventional family form, as well as another family in the form of Yukari and Koki. Yukari is a single mother, and Koki is her son. They kind of hit it off as well and help each other where they can and stuff like that.
Damn right.
It's a really nice story that totally doesn't have a manga that doesn't go absolutely horrible. It didn't happen.
You know, speaking of the single mom he hits it off with, man, talk about timely reference where like someone gets the flu and they have to like stay quarantined and shit because they don't want to infect the other.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that out loud, I'm like, maybe we can reference this to today's lifestyle.
No, not at all. There's no correlation here.
You almost act like people should act like that all the time.
Yeah, it's something about being sick, and then, you know, not carrying that over to others is probably a decent idea, but, you know, who am I to speak?
Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about, Tori. You're just in your early 20s, you know nothing. Get out of here. Go get a job. What are you doing?
Trying, but right now that's difficult. But yeah,
grocery stores are hiring, I hear.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. It's again, 11 episodes. Sadly, doesn't end. It doesn't have an ending because I don't know why they didn't have an ending. They should have ended it. It's not like there's a manga for it. Yeah, but it's a really good show. If you're into if you've seen shows like, for example, Sweetness and Lightning, which is a more recent show, which is more based on the food aspect, but it's kind of the same thing, except, you know, single dad raising his daughter, in which case it is actually his daughter. It's kind of the same.
That show about the udon and the guy with the little boy, yeah. That sounded very wrong, but anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a show.
The guy with the udon noodle. You know what I'm saying?
There's a show in the same vein, like where the guy goes back home. He was working in Tokyo, in the big city. I think his grandfather passed away, and his grandfather had a noodle shop, so he went back to kind of get things straight. End up finding this tanuki, which transforms into a little boy, and he decided to stay home and just asked to leave his work and start working in the noodle shop, making and selling noodles, and just taking care of this creature, this magical creature. It's a very interesting show. I don't remember the name. Udon Ponko or something.
All right. Yeah, never heard of it. But anyway, yeah, no, I really like Usagi Drop. I ended up giving it an 8 out of 10. It's a really good show.
Ooh.
That doesn't have a manga.
And never ends.
Well, I mean, with its story it's being told, it doesn't really necessarily have to have a definitive ending. You know what I mean? It can just end an arc of a short little story, which I thought it told masterfully. When did this come out? 2011?
2011, yeah.
Damn. We're very far away from possibly reviewing this.
Yeah. Well, you know what we're not far away from reviewing? Samurai Champloo.
Oh, well, you're right.
That's 16 years old.
You know what? Speaking of like crazy things that are almost considered retro by our standards of the 15-year to today's date line, is the PS3 and Xbox 360 will officially become retro this year.
Yes, because what we deem retro is official.
Well, yes. We made the rule.
Exactly.
Well, wait a minute.
We decide what's retro.
PS3 release date. I know the 360 released 15 years ago. Oh, right. The PS3 was a year later. That's right. I thought it was 2005. I am mistaken. Take that back. The 360 will be officially retro this year. But yeah, I got an email from I don't have it in front of me, but the question was, will we be playing 360 games for the Retro Gaming Podcast? And I'm like, what is he talking about? And I look at him like, holy fuck, it is 15 years old in like October this year.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. And then he threw in some other anime mostly from the early
Well,
2000s.
that means the Idolmaster 2 game will be a retro game available for review in the podcast.
No.
Fantastic.
Oh, no.
Hey, that game is amazing.
You know, Hickey,
Okay.
when that becomes retro, I will allow you to have a segment on this anime podcast where you can...
Oh, nice. Just wait
The game.
the game, I guess. Just wait my new PC to come, and I'll just download the emulator for 360 and play the Idolmaster G. That game is really good. That game is really, really good. Unfortunately, it gives you just
review.
PTSD of ruining people's life. But aside that, and people will be able to experience that now in full HD 4K with the new Idolmaster coming out. But
Oh my god.
yeah, on PC. But yeah, that game is very good. Man, it's
For
been
Bandai region. Lots
it's been so long. The Xbox 360. Damn. Never had one.
Did you just call it the Xbox 360?
The Xbox 360-degree no-scope.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the literal.
those phrases
that's
always
just a
make me
literal
laugh.
translation from the title in Portuguese. It's the
360.
360.
The Xbox
Yeah,
360.
it's how it was called. Look, man, I don't make this rules. I just read them and translate.
it. No. I love it. Well, I'm glad you really liked Usagi Drop, Tori.
Yeah.
I was incredibly surprised with the show myself. When I did my 100 plus reviews on Mal, when I was doing my little quest myself, I gave it a very good review.
Oh.
So looking forward to that day when we could cover it on the podcast. Very much up for a rewatch of that.
Oh.
Well, I don't think we have anything more to talk about, do we?
I said I wanted to talk about Standalone Complex 2045 before we get into things.
Yes. Well, how about this? I will play a drop, and then we could do that, and then just transition straight into our review of the Ghost in the Shell film.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Let's see. Now, what... yes, of course.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, midnight submarine.
You know, I would be very mistaken in saying if that Urashiman drop I made is not my favorite drop of all time right
The
now.
Yellow Submarine.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Midnight Submarine.
You play that to exhaustion already.
I absolutely
It's
love
like, you know, Tori,
it must always
Tori,
be
I
played.
know you want to talk about something, so let me pull the Urashiman drop.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it.
So how everyone's going today? Tori, Tori, how are you today? Well, oh wait, before you say something, the Urashiman drop.
Before Tori says anything, it must be the Urashima drop. To be fair, I played the Cowboy Bebop drop before his quest
Okay.
started.
Great.
Yes.
I'm glad you
All
didn't
right,
play
so-
the Urashiman drop twice.
Well, I mean, I certainly could have. No one
I know
stopped
you
me.
could have.
I'm pretty sure you already did that.
I had done that before. I think I did it like 3 times in a row. Fast cast.
My God.
So 2045. How did the Coca-Cola ads go in it?
Well, I mean, they changed that into a Sony Walkman ad.
Oh, awesome.
So, you know, that's always fun. It's so great to see back. All right, we're going on a mission. Wait, hold on, Bato. I got you a present. A present? Yeah, I know you like music. So I got you this, especially on the older devices that aren't relevant anymore. So I got you this Sony Walkman. Oh, I remember those. It's like, why is this a thing?
A Sony Walkman.
It's like I know you really like it, even though it's useless now since Spotify is booted to kernel 0 of your brain. But have this Sony Walkman. It's like, oh, thank you. It's not.
So they're not even trying to fucking like insert these sponsors at all fucking tactfully. It's just like, hey, hold on, let's take a second. It's like a YouTube video where they just cut and be like, ad time.
But they're not so
I
good as
fucking
the
know.
internet historian.
No one is as good as the internet historian at that. Oh, but that's a different story. But yeah, no. So, Stanley Complex 2045 is a sequel to Standalone Complex. And it's a Netflix original. So, basically, if you like the live action Ghost in the Shell, you might have fun with this one. Because
Okay.
I'd say there is some correlation there. It's definitely more Western. I mean, for fuck's sake,
Yes.
the opening scene itself feels like it wants to be Mad Max so bad, but it isn't.
As we discussed in the impression, yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't. It lets up a little bit on that, but not enough. At the end of the day, it's still kind of bringing back Security Section 9, who was disbanded, and they're kind of having to work. First, being forced to work for the U.S. government, and after that, kind of turning the tables and working with the U.S. government, working for John Smith. That's his code name, by the way, so it works. It's just cringy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and they kind of have to go out and take care of these. They are assigned to try to capture something known as post-human. What's a post-human?
Right.
It's like a supercomputer, kind of.
Okay, so very reminiscent of the Puppet Master, which we'll be talking a lot about in the
Yes.
Gits review. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Puppet Master, but it's like the Puppet Master on steroids, because these supercomputers their processing power is just beyond anything that has ever existed. Ever. Nothing can stop them. The Major tries to, the first one they get in contact with, or they end up trying to capture, they kind of end up in that usual Git situation where it's like, okay, I guess the Major goes in, she's like, there's no way to stop this guy, we have to hack him. So she managed to get in and go for a hack, and within 2 seconds she is literally on the brink of being destroyed because she can't. Nothing can defeat these things. This guy is completely breaking her down in a hack while simultaneously trying to fight back against the rest of Security Section 9 that's standing by. So they end up having to snipe him and kill him, which was not the plan, not the idea, but it happens. And
I always really like those aspects of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, but not here. And
No?
no, because see, here I agree with you. When this happened, I thought, okay, here we have a cool little aspect. We have an enemy that is in every way superior, because not only is he impossible to hack, they can't shoot him, they can't kill him, because like I said, their processing speed is so fast that just trying to aim your gun at them and shooting at them, they're literally just dancing away from every bullet. They know what's happening before you've even done it. Like, they've already processed what you're gonna do. You can't kill them. Which
right,
I thought
because
was...
it's a supercomputer mind, so they can just see your, I guess, direction you're pointing, and it can calculate trajectory and velocity and all, and
Exactly.
all
So
those
I then
aspects.
thought...
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense in their universe how mathematically and scientifically everything is accounted for.
Yeah.
So what then I know you're going to say it, but I'm going to still ask the question, what happened? Why didn't this work?
Well, we get to the next one. The next one is one that has already been captured. So, first of all, we just gotta... Now, they explained why he was captured. He was captured by the CIA because he kind of entered their military base and tried to fire nukes. So, eventually he just simply got overwhelmed. So, sure, a reason at least. So they capture him, and they keep him now in this lock, where he has no access to anything. He can't connect to any servers, anything, and he is basically brain dead. They shot his brain out, so he's
Not
just
even
laying
via
there.
Bluetooth?
No, nothing. He is completely isolated off, and he has a nurse come in and check on him, but
You heard me, Hickey.
she is always human. So basically, what ends up happening is he ends up tricking everybody because he keeps releasing. He can't communicate, so he releases these broken messages that they are always trying to decipher. But it turns out that that's actually code, so lo and behold, he actually takes over the system and tries to release himself. So Security Section 9 ends up having to kill him as well because he.
There's a movie. I can't. It might have been War Games where something like that happened.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of inspirations in this.
Well, it's that 80s movie War Games where it's a big AI computer entity that goes into. I know it's not an original concept by any means, where this entity hacks into a system and takes it over. That's, I mean, name a sci-fi show and it's in there at some point.
Skynet.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Skynet's a big one.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, no, but that's kind of the thing, right? Because they follow these kind of to the letter. Then we move on to the next one. The next one is a boxer on the loose. Okay. And he's killing corrupt government, well, not necessarily corrupt, like people in high positions, like high businessmen and even politicians, as much as wanting to go after the new president of Japan. Because he kind of puts a target on his back, wanting to kind of be the mole and drag this guy out, because, they can't get him. And he just goes in and he can hack everybody's sight so nobody can see him. And he goes in and kind of just kills somebody right in front of everyone and leaves. Security Section 9 is tasked with protecting, obviously, the president after the president's dad gets murdered by this guy. So they do, and they end up fighting him. But this one, because it's a boxer, Motoko finds out that the best way to fight him is to basically just engage him in a boxing match and hope that his real personality is going to come out, which it, of course, does. So he tries to box her legit, and then she ends up cheating, so she wins. And they capture him.
I guess I can see the... I mean, that's very, what do they call it? I don't want to say it's an anime trope, but that's just the medium I've seen it the most in, where the only way we can talk to each other and get through to each other is through our fists.
Sure, but it doesn't make sense here, because they've already established that these aren't people anymore. They are essentially living computers. I don't understand why.
It's closer to the manga, I would
Tori.
say. The manga has a lot of this wacky shit happening. Like they're like, well, we're
remember, I don't like the
tasked
manga.
to kill this guy. We're camouflaged, and let's just tell jokes to each other so we can laugh or something like that. There's some wacky shit that happens in the manga. It sounds very close to it. Like, oh, he's not a human anymore. He's just a living, breathing computer that is calculating everything. But let's box him and hope that his soul comes back, and we have like this awesome moment where he's relieved and sleeps, and I shoot him in the face. It's very, very wacky manga style thing.
But then we get to my favorite little arc, which, by the way, doesn't end, because it ends on, I wouldn't even say a cliffhanger, well, it kind of is. Togusa disappears in the final episode.
Again?
But like at this point, this is nothing new. But it just ends mid-arc, which is annoying, because we end up getting to an episode, and the arc isn't titled this, but the first episode, or one of the first episodes regarding this, is titled this. And I showed you this, the episode title. It's called Edgelord: Revenge of the 14-Year-Old, or something like that.
You did show that, yeah.
Edgelord, oh my god. Oh,
that's
it's Western made.
Yeah, it's a very apt description of this show, to be honest. I'm gonna give them that. It makes sense. But yeah, it's essentially about this quiet kid who's been bullied, and you get the split perspective. You get his perspective on what's happened, and then kind of you get to see what follows Security Section 9, especially Togusa, a little bit of the Major, a little bit of Bato, but mostly Togusa, as they kind of investigate this, why this kid has changed, or what has happened, or why, because now he is the one who's designed a system that essentially it hacks into it delivers justice. It's like the ultimate form of democracy, and delivers justice to those people that everybody deems, or the majority of people deems fit for retribution or something. So basically, shitty people get what they deserve. In
Sounds
theory.
like psychopath-ish.
Sounds like futuristic Hellgirl.
Yeah, so he hacks into this program when the vote has been made and everybody has decided, it hacks into people's cyber brains and basically floods it in so that a bunch of hackers basically just enter your mind, and to this person it will then feel like they are getting mobbed by hundreds and thousands and millions of people at once going to attack them, but for everybody else, this guy's just lost his mind. Nothing's happening.
So like it's
so they end up getting their ass kicked by nothing.
It's a DDoS. It's a brain DDoS.
Kind of, yeah. Kinda, not exactly, but yeah. You could take it that way, but it either ends up with frying your brain or you actually end up just getting killed somehow. I've been used to kill mobsters and a bad teacher who raped one of his students and shit like that, and then, just in general, as with everything like this, it ends up going out of control, and there's a lot of that type of stuff, and one of the things that I really like to cite in that episode, as we learn more about this kid, is that it likes to take some inspiration from George Orwell's 1984, which they absolutely love to slap across your face by pulling out the book whenever or reference it whenever that's relevant. So that's fun if you like that. And that's.
Did you get any Brave New World type stuff from the show, or have you not read that?
I have not read it, so
Okay.
I can't be.
It's a nice
I can't
book.
say that with any certainty. Yeah, I know. But I haven't read it.
It's a book that I didn't appreciate when I was a teenager, but I really appreciate it and like it now.
Definitely, there's a lot of Citizen Kane in Ghost in the Shell. At least Mamoru Oshii style Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, Oshii must have an obsession with Citizen Kane.
He has a lot of obsessions, especially European movies as well. But yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
It's like there's a lot of references here. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it all just feels so. Yes, but that's the thing. It always feels so empty, so pointless because it doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't feel like there's a purpose for it.
I'm very disappointed to hear that because at the very least, with the TV shows of Ghost in the Shell.
Mm.
There's a beginning, middle, and end goal to it all. Stop the terrorists, stop this hacker. What it may be. 2045 didn't have that.
No, it has Japan trying to kind of not be be buried by the United States, right? They want to kind of be even with them where they can,
right? There was the
Yeah.
There was the political discourse and the CIA or whatever.
So that's a little conflict that's
Out
happening.
for their
But
own goal.
that's pretty much died out at this point. They're pretty much now. It's literally just a case of let's try to round up these post-humans and deliver it to the CIA. That's essentially what's happening right now, and it doesn't really stray from it. How they do it is kind of different. Like I said, chasing down somebody who they can't find, like the boxer dude, or going after the kid who is just, I don't know what whether he's cloaked or whatever he is, but he is definitely doing some shit. But
so it sounds to me that 2045 lacks the conflict of Section 9 that every other Ghost in the Shell iteration has had. Yes, there is an overarching goal to it all in mind, but it seems like in this case, Section 9 isn't the conflict. They're just kind of shoehorned into a bigger picture, which takes away from the show.
They are simply brought back again because they're the only ones who can do the job.
I can see that
even
being a problem,
even then, right? You still have that little thing with Motoko and the other ones where it's like they're not even entirely sure if they want to be a part of this anymore. So they have that, but they still do it anyways because why not? They want to they don't want to bend their military ways anyway. So they when they were in Section 9, they were still just mercenaries. But it's, for lack of a better word, the way I would describe 2045 is it feels like a parody of Ghost in the Shell more than a Ghost in the Shell series. Right? It has a lot of the things that you would expect from a Ghost in the Shell, but it doesn't feel sincere, and it feels even less sincere when every goddamn fucking 10 minutes they feel the need to shoehorn in some sort of ad for something. But you basically
gotta pay for
would
something,
you like the
Tori.
refreshing taste of Budweiser? It's like, thanks. Like, again,
It's like, no,
product
not.
placement has been in Ghost in the Shell for a long time. That's nothing new. But when you look at even the old Ghost in the Shell, like the movie we're going to talk about, and the product placement there, it's kind of just there. They don't put it up and put it into the camera and be like, "Hey, I really like Coca-Cola."
Tori, you killed me with that line.
It's like, what are you?
The contempt in your voice. Would you like a refreshing taste of Budweiser, motherfucker?
Because it is.
Like, man,
Stupid.
I'm so hungry. I really wish I could eat a Pocky right now. Well, now that you mention it, I have a new flavor of Pocky. I just bought that, just like in the middle of the investigation.
Yep.
There's a shootout. Like, there's a shootout going on. It's like, we are going to die. Man, I really wish I could taste Pocky one last time in my life. I'm like, well, now that you mention it.
Well, you can, because I just so happen to have one with me. Oh, thanks.
The limited edition release, green tea mixed with the blossom, right and coincide with Golden Week.
If you want to.
You
Big
can
thumbs
get
up.
it now.
I also got some Budweiser
Get
with
it now
me
at
if
your
you want
local
to.
7-Eleven.
It's so... yeah, no, that's really the only way I can describe it. It feels like a parody of Ghost in the Shell. It's so insincere in the way it handles itself. It's so low effort. And it's like, even the cool things, like Ghost in the Shell. Thinking Ghost in the Shell, you think, like, you know, action isn't necessarily always on the plate, but when it is, it's cool. So what do you get with Ghost in the Shell?
You should expect, like, if there's two things you should always expect in Ghost in the Shell, it's long philosophical dialogue and awesome action.
Yep. Here they did none of that. They had decided to add more action, but it's less cool. And also they decided to shorten down kind of the philosophical talks because they don't want too much conversation between the characters when it isn't necessary. It's more, you know, not so much words, more show. You know, a very Western type of storytelling where it's like, we don't want to tell you stuff.
So it's
want to
dumbed
show
down
you what
and
it is.
simplified.
Yeah. And then, you know, you get the fact that you
it.
see the fight, when they fight, like, for example, the boxing match. You'd think a boxing match could be pretty cool, right? No, it's not, because it's so sluggish and slow. Like, because
especially
the way
with
the
cybernetic bodies, you could show like body parts and pieces get knocked off, and they're, you know, it's a machine, so it's losing control of certain limbs kind of situation. Didn't happen, did it?
Nope, it didn't. Like, it's so sluggish and slow the way they fight. It's kind of like the CG just doesn't do it because, like, I don't know if it's because they don't want to, like, overextend, because in case I didn't make it clear, this is CG, and to make it worse, it looks like it was made in Source Filmmaker, but, you know,
I bet it looked like Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Yeah, right, and they kind of just, like, the way they throw punches, like, it's not that the movement is off, it's just kind of like the way it's so slow. It's like, it feels...
I know exactly
it doesn't feel like
what you're
combat.
talking about.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, it almost feels like they show it. Like, instead of doing that typical kind of Western movie, action movie, like, well, not even Western, but like general action thing where it's like they take like a slow punch or something and speed it up to make it look more impressive than it actually is. They do. It feels like they do the opposite here. It feels like they put on slow-mo.
So the impact's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. Big minus.
How's the mecha design in this one?
Just
Just mechanical design
well,
because like
there's a box that looks like a dog, or rather a dog that looks like a box, a mechanical dog that looks like a box. It folds back into a box and then it kind of puts its head out, and it's
yeah, because like the original
everything is like you remember it, but the new ones, the drones they're just they're just very standard, is what I say. They don't look particularly impressive. They just look okay.
Let's see.
Well, that's a huge problem in anime today in general.
Sure.
With mechanical designs, mecha, everything's very boxed out and plain, and it really reminds me of kind of the polygonal limitations of, say, the N64 era, where everything is flat surfaced, angled off. It lacks a lot of the detail that we saw in, say, the late 70s, 80s in Mecha. Fuck, we just watched Giant Gorg, and that's a super robot show. And was Gorg the most intricate designed robot? No, but you could pick apart different parts and body limb issues, and they broke it down through its exterior and limb work. Yeah, just in the initial impression of 2045, you could tell that sort of detail just isn't there, and it's not so much it's an era past. I mean, you could definitely say it is, but it's just the fact that the designs and intricate detail is just gone. People just don't do it anymore.
Oh, yeah, because...
Well, that's kind of what's so weird, though, because, again, this show is, like, I'm going to make sure that I'm not misremembering that. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Sola Digital Arts is the one who did a lot of it, but it is made in collaboration with Production IG. And while Production IG CG isn't exactly amazing, I can't help but think that I would have thought that they would have at least leveraged their expertise somehow, because they have made cool designs before. For Production IG has made Ghost in the Shell in general. Like,
I know, but that doesn't mean that same detail is made, because that's more or less where the industry has gone. Mecha designs just aren't. They just don't do what they used to do.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not really a problem here, because there isn't really that much mecha. Like, you have, again, the dogs and shit.
It doesn't need to be like mecha, just like mechanical design. Because the guy who made
no, I know, but like
Hickey, that's a way
Shoji,
better way to
Shoji
put it.
is the guy who made the original movie, the first movie we're reviewing, mechanical designs. And I mean, I think it's a little bit unfair to use this guy, because although he's the guy who wrote AKB48. He did the mechanical design for Aquario Naval, Macross, every single one of the Macross, some Gundam stuff.
Oh man, he's so good
Crusher
at putting
Joel,
in wiring.
Crusher Joel, he's the original creator of Skullflone. So like,
no, but one thing that I will say though that I definitely think is kind of gone was because I saw an interview of somebody, like, they were talking about like the whole like 80s mecha thing and kind of mecha design and whatnot. And I remember, I don't remember his name right now, but I remember one of the guys they were talking to, and he was talking about how before they even started filming, they literally built the robot. Like, they actually bought parts and started building the robot, putting it together like as a set piece, just so that they could learn how to actually fucking design this thing.
Yes.
It's like, they don't do that anymore, because that takes a long time.
Well, there's one guy, and I wish I had the name on hand. Now that you bring it up, there's one guy in the anime industry that goes through mechanical engineering programs and builds designs from the ground up in those programs, kind of like what a video game designer would do with building the wiring and whatnot through its design. The issue that's come across is the exterior shell, and the lack of showing the insides is just something you don't see in anime today. So, I mean, we'll talk about a certain we'll talk about the tank scene in Ghost in the Shell here, but the fact of the robots breaking, you see the wiring, you see the pressure releases, you see all those details that are put into the film, while in anime in the modern era, they just simply break off and shatter almost like it's glass. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a machine.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, anyways, there was last thing I wanted to say in regards to the Standalone Complex 2045 as well. And that is, again, like we said, it's a Western-made show, and you can definitely feel it. And one of the things that I felt, and I was even more annoyed when I watched the original Ghost in the Shell here, because, again, when something happens to somebody, especially somebody with connection to politics, in Ghost in the Shell, it's been pretty it's been pretty normal that the government then decides to issue orders to cover it up. You know, that's fine, right?
Wait,
and they do
government
that.
cover up? Come
Yep.
on, that's illegal, Tori.
I
Don't
know,
talk
right?
Silly.
But they do that. They do that in Standalone Complex 2045 as well. What annoys me though is, again, got to remind myself that this is a Western show. Is how John Smith, CIA guy, decides to tell people to cover it up. He says it's that the government needs to go in and start spreading fake news with regards to his death. At first I was like, did they just decide to fuck that up with the texting? And then I go back and nope, he says he switches to English for it. Fake news. Why would you not just say this needs to be covered up? You know, standard. Why fake news? Oh no, I know why fake news. Because fake news is prevalent today. It's relevant
It's the
right
lingo,
now.
man. Come on. Get with
so-
the times.
It's so unnecessary.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of why, again, just ends up sitting here feeling like this is just a parody of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Ah.
Like the CIA would use fucking fake news and not
Listen,
and not be
President,
psychedelic
we need you
drugs.
to...
Come on, it's the fucking
Listen,
CIA.
Mr.
Flood the market with dirt sheet news.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes with the saying: if you flood the market with lies and put the truth in within it, then it's taken as just another lie, right? That's the idea behind it all. But yeah, calling it fake news is a little on the nose with today's society, unfortunately.
But it's relevant.
Yeah, it's relevant. So Tori, what did you score 2045 in the end?
I was very generous with this show, so I gave it a 3.
Ooh, whew, dude.
I don't like the show. I do get some sort of pleasure in watching it, in the sense that when I see it, when I kind of just keep treat it as a parody of Ghost in the Shell, it has a kind of an unintentionally funny element to it. Like, the humor is still there. Like, they still reprise their, like, the characters that play the roles. They still reprise their roles. So you still have a lot of that, like, tongue-in-cheek.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Togusa trying to fight off a bunch of those, like, hackers. Things that come after them. I remember that he just starts to start breaking into some judo or karate or whatever, and he just starts making those like, oh, hi. It's like, you can definitely tell that they're not exactly taking this too seriously either. So stuff like that is fine, but yeah, no, I'm still gonna watch the remaining 12 episodes whenever they come out because it's Ghost in the Shell and I have to watch it. But yeah,
I'm with you, unfortunately.
It's kind of a shame because as we keep going, Ghost in the Shell, I just feel like Ghost in the Shell just kind of keeps. It stops being it stopped being Ghost in the Shell a long time ago.
It stopped being Ghost in the Shell when the first movie came out. I mean, you say that.
Not
It's for the
exactly,
best.
but-
It's for the best.
You say that because you haven't read the fucking manga. Me and JD have, and we can say pretty much.
No,
like,
I have read them. I have read parts of the manga. I couldn't stand the manga. But the thing is, we've been over this. The original movie was never. It was based on the manga, but it was never an adaptation.
No,
That's
no.
not the point of it.
It wasn't even
Right.
based on. It was inspired by it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Because that's the thing with like Shiro. Like fucking, he has come up with a concept for so many things, but a straight Shiro Masamune adaptation, that doesn't exactly happen all the time.
No, the only one was fucking Ghost Orn.
I don't think it's the only one, but it's one of the
Yeah,
few. Yeah,
yeah, true. But Ghost Orn is amazing on its
Isn't
own way, I
Dominion as
guess.
well? Yeah, no, it's just he is the epitome of somebody who's like, he's really good to come up with like concepts and settings, but story wise,
Sounds like Eric Bischoff in WCW era. There's a wrestling reference. I slipped one in. Okay. 3 out of 10. Ouch. Well, that was a full-on review of 2045. Thank you, Tori.
that was.
And, I guess I'll get, you know what? I'll play Speed Racer.
Yay.
That's what I'll do.
Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go!
Go, Speed Racer, go.
Mach, go.
Mach, go. That is right. Review Ghost in the Shell, the film, 1995. Released November 18th, 1995. Studio Production IG. Director, Mamoru Oshii.
Never heard of
Gave
him.
us Pat Labor, creator of Jinro. So we've had our fill of Mamoru Oshii in the past on this podcast. Taking the summary from Anime Planet, Tori.
Yeah.
Not that Mal bullshit you bring on this cast. A mysterious new hacker known only as the Puppet Master threatens to create chaos, erasing and rewriting the memories of his victims. Humans who have cast away their physical body to become cyborgs. Is he an evil genius, or could he signal the beginning of a new age in the relationship between man and machine? Quite like that summary.
Hmm.
Kenji Kawai music kicks in. Oh shit.
Play that U2 song.
No, you kidding me? Ugh.
All right, so so the way I went about my notes for this film, because this is like the 5th time I've watched this movie, minimum. I tackled my notes for the 3 major themes of the show, and then I just gave 2 basic thoughts on the film itself. I don't know how you guys took about your notes. What did you guys do?
I watched it.
I haven't watched the movie,
You
but I
watched it.
pretty much remember most of the things.
Okay.
Most of it, not everything. Oh
Because
my god.
it's
Can't
something
believe you're picky.
it's not something that really works as white noise in the background. You need to sit down and read through all the subtitles or pay attention to
Oh
everything.
no,
If
you have to watch the anime.
you can,
oh.
you need to
Oh,
you
God.
need to actually watch the anime. Yes.
The horror. I can't believe we...
What a review!
Why would we ever... JD, why would we ever talk about something we would actually need to watch? We need to talk about
God.
stuff that we can just put on in the background and ignore. And then
Holy
just bullshit
Moses.
about for fucking
Look, we
an
can't
hour.
just watch Urashima on every episode.
No, thank God.
As much as I want to do that, it just can't happen. So here we are, Ghost in the Shell. My 2 major points that not talking about the themes, because that's really where, again, my notes lie, is I felt the movie doesn't truly kick in until the last 30 minutes out of its 82 minutes in total span. It's a lot of dialogue, so yes, Hickey, you do have to sit down and watch it. In this case, read it, because it's Ghost in the Shell. There's a lot and lots and lots of spoken philosophical dialogue.
It's almost like it's a movie directed by Mamoru
Yeah.
Oshii.
Yeah, almost, right? Deep thinking with there's some sci-fi action mixed in, while finally you get to the big chase and tank battle happens. It's a slow build, to say the least, guys. My second thought is the movie is very grand in its animation. It's Akira level of 1995. Wonderfully unique soundtrack. I absolutely adore the music and sounds and how everything happens.
The making of a cyborg when that song just kicks in the beginning and you get that, like, oh, it's so good.
Oh, it's wonderful. And of course, it's extremely complex thoughts and themes. So those are my bullet point 2 thoughts on the movie as a whole. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I love the scale. I love the visualization of everything. Like I said, I get really into the moment we get that opening scene, like I said, with making of a cyborg starting to play, and just you see the design of Motoko happening in front of you, and just it's so, the attention to detail, it's so gorgeous. And then we get to the infamous scene, waking up, and when she's wake up and you open up the blinds and you see out into this giant soulless city, and
It's very Blade Runner-esque.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I love that because I
I
love
was-
that, like,
I was
that,
going
like,
to mention that at some point. Do androids
Yeah.
dream of electric ship?
yeah, absolutely. But I just love that, like, because everything, for the majority of this movie, everything is essentially captured, like, the Dutch angle, like the downward looking up, like seeing how this giant just rusty, soulless, ad-filled, wow, city is kind of just towering over you. It's almost like Ghost in the Shell became the exact opposite, huh? And it's kind of just towering over you, looking down. It's just, it's great. I love that kind of, I love that instant hit that the movie gives you. That just like depressing, soulless feeling.
And the way it builds through the entire infiltration building sequence, it immediately tells you this is the level of technology you're going to deal with in this movie, where society has gone in its form of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Big theme there. All the way to the point where Motoko busts out the building window, goes into the invisible mode, and if you get I guess it's the remastered release of Ghost in the Shell, you can choose between the original or the CG infiltrated version, and you get this weird, wild little CG wire scene that's... I'm not a big fan of that,
I was about to say, that doesn't sound very good.
No, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but it's definitely piqued my interest in seeing like what they did with it.
Sure. I definitely prefer the fucking just smashing window, sarcastic comment, bang.
Yeah, and it goes into the holographic invisible mode. You're not truly invisible situation. You see just a mirror reflection, and to me, the mirror reflection represents more of some of the burning questions in the movie itself. So even there, then itself, that aspect of the movie does have symbolic reference, just in its technology.
I mean,
I think I've never seen another, and this is just in anime. This is movies in general and TV shows where the technology has symbolism towards society, evolution, and identity.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, what I especially, I mean, there's so many themes in this movie, but just to hit on it as well, you know when Motoko is on the boat, kind of going through the city, like when she's looking up at skyscrapers, and it's like up in the skyscraper, there's somebody looking like her, and I love that, like, and the same thing with like the doll, and I love that kind of like just like because it's such a subtle, but at the same time kind of in your face way of just being like kind of just illustrating that like inner conflict that is present in Ghost in the Shell, where it's like, what am I? Like, Motoko is somewhere between a human and a puppet, essentially, and that's kind of that's always the associations I get with that scene in particular. It's just like, you can see, right, you have the person that looks like her, and then you have the doll that looks like her, and it's like, what am I really? Because that's there's just so much. There's so much good stuff in there, and it's just, and I love how good they are. Ghost in the Shell, in particular, is that just illustrating that aspect to you without saying anything. It's literally just quiet and the music playing in the background. You just see this. It's like, oh man, this speaks to me.
You know, I seem to watch this movie just about every 4 or 5 years. It just kind of pops up, and I'm gonna watch this. I first watched this back in the early 2000s. I want to say it was 2000, actually. It was when did the first Matrix movie come out? 99?
Wasn't it already in the
sure.
2000s?
Let me.
I was way too young to remember.
The Matrix.
I remember watching The Matrix, but I watched them all.
Yeah,
when they were
99.
on TV.
Yes, it came out in 99. Look at me with my memory. So yeah, when The Matrix came out in 99, I hadn't seen Ghost in the Shell yet. So in that movie, like, I don't know about you guys, but when that sucker came out, sci-fi and The Fifth Element, like, I was all in that. It was the huge talk at school, just massively popular. And when I went to a Hollywood Video or Blockbuster, it was one of those two, I came across Ghost in the Shell, and it had that sci-fi element to it, people getting plugged in and shit, and all about that, right?
Mm.
And went home, watched it, and I was like, this is awesome, right? It had everything the Matrix had, and of course, cut to way down the line, Yeah, The Matrix was heavily influenced by Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. I was
So-
4 when
About to say.
the movie came out. So like Matrix, the first one. So,
Same.
but
Same, so that's not... I didn't experience that.
Yeah, well, I was 11. I was 11 when
Old man.
The Matrix came out, and 12 when I saw Ghost in the Shell. So, this, like, its underlying themes and everything, as a 12-year-old, I can say with the utmost confidence, I did not get the themes. I just saw cyborgs talking and the technology around me, and I was just enamored with the society and where everything was going, and being on the brink of a teenager, it's, that whole teenage angst situation of, what is life, bro? What is this society we live in? Oh, it's so uncool, man.
Wow.
So, look, everyone goes through that phase, especially when they're a teenager.
I don't know, man.
No?
No.
Never had that, Tori?
Nope.
no.
I call you a liar, good sir.
No.
Tori was a kid. He suddenly woke up one day with the same goatee he has today. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
guess.
I really did.
Oh, man.
I think that was basically everyone at some point.
Did he die?
No.
Okay.
No. All right. Anyways, cool pause. It's almost like you got lost in the net.
Oh, yeah.
This beer is starting to kick in something heavy.
JD, seriously.
Professionalism.
Look,
No.
I haven't even finished the first
Yeah,
beer.
no, definitely.
But-
I remember like watching. The good thing is, I also watched Ghost in the Shell when I was quite young. But since I had no friends, I spent a lot of time in the library of my school. So I've read a lot of the books that were kind of pressed on in Ghost in the Shell. After watching Ghost in the Shell, I watched Citizen Kane, the original like 60s movie. That movie is amazing. And yeah, it really puts you into perspective. I don't remember if it's the movie or the series where you have like the humanists, the human people who make terrorist attacks against machine people. I don't remember that. I remember there's something like that in. I don't remember if it's the manga. It's basically that. It's a very interesting concept of where the future is going, or did we step in something we shouldn't? Especially when you get that program, the Project 2501, I believe, which is the cyborg that is kind of this new being that was created by the human collective mind in the network. It poses a lot of interesting, more in the cyberpunk genre of everyone being connected to a network, brains getting
this
hacked.
is really cool.
It's like brain swapping and things like that. It's very interesting. Mamoru Oshii has a very good talent of getting very wacky shit, just like Bad Labor, and making awesome stuff out of it.
So, the video game Cyberpunk is coming out later in this year, 2020.
100% I'll play
essentially-
that, and I'll play as Makoto. I'll just copy the fucking...
oh.
Dude, or either Motoko or Bato. Just gonna make the character look like them.
Hell yes, Hickey. I'm 100% with you. And that's essentially going to be Ghost in the Shell, the game. Right? And you can you have you guys read you can willingly change the genitalia of the characters?
Yep.
Yeah. Tori,
Yeah.
are you excited?
You're
Excited.
I
I
mean,
can tell in your voice.
first of all, Sekiro.
I'm going to
not
give
Sekiro,
your character the
Ghost of
biggest of
Tsushima
dicks.
needs to happen, and then after that, I'll worry about Cyberpunk. But yeah, I mean, fucking,
Okay.
I can get it for PC now. Hey,
Hey.
I mean, but it is
So-
related. Like, they talk about that in Ghost in the Shell, especially because of Motoko. Motoko is a woman,
Yes.
but you don't know if she is a woman, right? There's this level of because
yes,
she
identity.
had a
Yeah.
The identity thing.
she had a was it a disease, something like that?
Yeah, it was like a bone eating disease,
Yeah, which is
or something
which is
like
very
that,
interesting
yeah.
because if they have all cybernetic bodies, you would think that genetic therapy is a thing, or like genetic modification, or maybe like in this world, like genetic modificating children, it's still kind of a huge taboo. So it's better to give them a non-cybernetic body and basically
I
transfer
think-
they soul to a machine instead of just changing their genes when they are still like in the process of development.
Well, I mean,
You know, I think they actually addressed that very question in Standalone
they
Complex.
did. That's kind of what I was going to say as well, because the kind of it's not just a case of like, is she a woman? Because you have multiple addresses of it. You have the one with the little kid, where the little kid is like, "Can you have sex?" And Motoko's like, "You want to find out?" And then he gets embarrassed, obviously. And you have the other one with Bato, where Bato asks her just straight up, "Why a female body or why a woman's body? Why not a man's body? Since you're now military." And I don't know. Right, it's kind of and I like that. It's still shrouded in mystery because it's one of those things that I don't feel like you don't need to get a specific answer, but I like that they touch on it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very good.
So,
It's very
are you guys ready
yes.
to let me? You know what, Hickey? Finish your thought, and then I want to go into my themes that I wrote down.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I get it's going to correlate with that. It is definitely like JD said. It doesn't like as he said nothing happens until the last 30 minutes, but not so much again.
Action-wise.
Action-wise, but there's a lot of like you can find articles and articles about this online, so I won't go extensive in it. There's shitload of books you can read before watching Ghost in the Shell, and every single piece of dialogue you can get something out of it. Standalone Complex is even better to that, to a literature's point of view, because they are not restricted to cyberpunk or future technology kind of sci-fi books. They also go to other types of literature, just like The Catcher in the Rye and stuff like that. So there's a shitload of books you can read and movies you can watch, and then Ghost in the Shell will take another light. It's more of the references, more of the pressing questions and angsties of humanity across the whole technology development, really, since the 1950s when those books and movies started to come out. So it's quite of interesting as Ghost in the Shell puts itself into that very much not only technological advancement perspective, but also the literature side of it in 1995, getting references from all those books and movies and literature and writings of the best.
Now, this just popped in my head here. So much of my family's history comes from Chicago. Okay, have you guys heard of the Sears Tower?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I forget what it's called now, but for sake, I'll keep referring it to the Sears Tower. There's a photo that's been released during these times. You know, not everything's active. People are staying home. There's a photo of the Chicago skyline from the little bean landmark that you can go to in Chicago. It's literally a bean mirror where it reflects. Anyways, from that vantage point, there's a picture of the skyline, and most of the city is still lit up, including the Hancock building, yet the Sears Tower is completely blacked out. And it being the largest skyscraper in Chicago, I believe still in the United States, it just looks like this big black rectangle kind of blocking out the rest of the city, right? You can see its silhouette. So it's almost like it's not really there. And I saw this picture right before rewatching Ghost in the Shell, and it kind of got me thinking, like, how Ghost in the Shell puts a portrayal on societal needs on technology, right? Mm-hmm. And it got me really just kind of thinking about that aspect with the Chicago skyline and this giant fucking building. Like, why is it there if it's not being used situation, right? What purpose does it serve? It's just this empty entity at this point in time. So yes, when at least in my case, when I was watching Ghost in the Shell at this point in time, I was very much in those deep
the movie
thoughts
does that to you.
and looking for these things. So that yeah. So to the themes, there's 3 of them that I wrote down: evolution, identity, and I had to actually look this one up because I couldn't remember the name. Cartesian dualism. Okay. Mm-hmm. But my favorite question asked, it's not so much a theme as it is a thought process, is the concept of mirror image. That's kind of why earlier, as we were discussing Ghost in the Shell, I made a reference to her transforming into her little invisible form, and it makes that reflective image to give her the illusion of invisibility. Mm-hmm. But the concept of mirror image in the show is very relevant, and it has this extremely complex thought and theme to it of know thyself, right? The ancient Greek aphorism. Now, I bring this up because I took philosophy when I was living in Germany, and that's where a lot of these thoughts come from. I didn't just, look it up or anything. I had to learn it in a foreign country of all things, but the know thyself and the mirror image is very prevalent, and I hadn't watched Ghost in the Shell since I took that class in Germany, and this is a new concept and a new media that I can reference this to. So Makoto herself and the Puppet Master talk about mirror images. You are a mirror image of me. You, like, what are you? What makes us different, right? And Makoto, throughout the entire film, is actually asking herself and struggling with the idea of know thyself, which I thought was really cool, because I've seen this like at least 5 times prior, but I've never thought about that question before. That was a really, really cool concept and situation I was constantly thinking about during this film. Have you guys ever experienced the know thyself theme in school, or did you actually think of this yourselves while watching the movie?
No, I didn't exactly think of it like that. I haven't experienced this. I haven't taken any psychology or anything like that. But but it's kind of like, it's similar to what I said, right? The idea of to know yourself, like what am I, right? Like I said, I highlighted the scene where it's like where they try to draw that contrast between like the person and the display doll that both look like Motoko as well as her, right? Where it's like, what am I? Am I a person? Am I a puppet? Something in between? Like what? And yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's stuff like, and it is stuff like that I find just uniquely fascinating, but it can be easily overdone and feel a little bit pretentious. But Ghost in the Shell kind of just, it doesn't force it down your throat, so it doesn't start feeling pretentious. It doesn't feel like it's like, oh, what am I? Like it's a legit valid question to have, because it's the question we all have.
Yeah,
what is she?
It's the same. I had
she
philosophy
herself
in high
asked this.
school, in college, and psychology in college as well. Although it was most criminal psychology case studies. But anyway, yeah, I think yes. I don't think it's only Makoto that has that. I think everyone has. You have, what is the Tokugawa, the human guy. Togusa has a lot of that, because people are like, look, why don't you carry Cyberbrain? It's so convenient. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I could, but no. It's
Well, that's the
yeah,
same
it's
reason. That's the
it's
same
not
reason
so
why he
much
sticks
it's not
with his
so
old
much
school
the
pistol.
know
Right?
Yeah, I was
thyself
about to
what
say,
am
in the
I
movie,
who am
that's
I.
more
He's
of his
not kind
gun.
of questioning that, but it's a clear. He's past that. You know, he already suppressed that thing. Bato, on the other side, although he doesn't let that much out, and he's not the focus of the show. He's more the focus in Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, where you can see that know thyself getting to him.
Sadly.
Is still present here. Like when we talked about the bodies and why not, and it's like you're in the military, why not you use a man's body? His conflict is more, what am I? What am I in the sense of, am I just a war machine? You know, he was in the military. He was in conflicts. He killed people. He was like in Ghost in the Shell.
Well, that's the
Ghost in the
common
Shell
sense
standalone
of
complex.
someone being in war.
I think it's quite stated that he was kind of a terror, like psycho terror special force, because he could reproduce. When they were talking about this specific guy about that would torture people, busting their lips open and just pulling off tips, he could do the same thing, but it wasn't him. He can mimic those kind of guys, so like psychological warfare, scalping people in war, and because of that, he still has that. Of course, it's more lighthearted with him. Then innocence just kicks in all the PTSD, and why not? But it's still present in this movie. Yeah, it's still present in this movie.
Well, that
where
makes sense with his character.
Makoto thinks like more of a puppet-like. He's more of a tool-like. He's like, am I just like a tool, and why not? But he's already suppressing it as well.
Okay,
like, he's
so let's
already,
tackle
just
that.
Don't give a shit. I have a dog and a nice house, I guess, and it's okay.
Well, Hickey, let's tackle that, because I wrote down the theme identity, the struggle of what it is that point. What is that point in which one ceases to be human? Our main character Makoto is entirely cybernetic. Motoko, what'd I say?
Makoto.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is entirely cybernetic, so the only part of her that is human is her ghost, aka data consciousness, if you will. Mm-hmm. She, as we've mentioned before, she finds herself struggling to, find herself, and she even says this in the film, confinement within her own body, right? Mm-hmm. On the flip side, Hickey, you bring up Bato. He's essentially your antithesis, the opposite, where he sees all of this. You're still human regardless of the situation, right? Just because you have cybernetics doesn't mean you're any less human. He pays this no mind, and there's actions. He's a man of action over words. So again, this is the film sticking with knowing their characters, and his actions, at least in what I saw, is the role of nudity in the movie. And normally, especially when I was a kid, I see a nude woman's body, that all I think about is the sexual aspect, right? Mm-hmm. And now, when I'm watching this as an adult, I see that there's more to it than just a naked body, because I keep saying that Motoko herself sees the body as strictly mechanical, right? Mm-hmm. She does admit that she used to be a female, but it's been so long and she had to give up her body. It's almost like she had to give up her own sense of self-being. And hence, she doesn't really see this body as a female form rather than it's mechanical. But she still holds on to that small aspect that, yes, she is indeed a female, and this is her best aspect of putting that into a physical form. Okay?
Yeah.
On the flip side, Bato, because he doesn't see the struggle of mind over matter, let's say, he still sees this as sexual. For example, in the opening chase scene, or whenever that takes place, where Motoko is strictly nude, and she's going through the invisible form, and when she comes out of it, she is now naked, right? Bato looks away. He puts a jacket on her. As he's looking away, he still sees this as a physical being that is towards that sexual manner rather than Motoko, which is interesting just from a... I forget the terminology, Hickey. Maybe you can help me out with this. From I guess it's like a primordial evolutionary standpoint of... and how our society looks at it is usually the male would see this as sexual, and the female would be more, I guess, reserved in it. So Bato is not taking advantage of the sexuality. It's like it's an opposite concept. I thought that was very interesting in this form.
Yeah, I just want to mention something as well in regards to Bato, because I mean, like Hickey also brought up Innocence, but I genuinely don't really like that movie very much, and Bato's kind of the reason for that. Because to me, especially when it comes to identity, and like I said, Bato is more of the relaxed guy and kind of takes stuff more at face value. But when it comes to his identity and even that question, like to know thyself, I always get the feeling with Bato that he doesn't, because you see that, which is way more prevalent. You see it kind of in here as well, but it's way more prevalent in Innocence. And that is Bato's reliance on Motoko. In Innocence, when Motoko is gone, Bato is nothing. He is completely broken. He is down in the dumps. He doesn't want to do anything. And that's because kind of his mirror image, he kind of views Motoko in that way as like, you know, as long as he can keep things simple and just follow her lead, everything is going to be okay. When that's all of a sudden no longer possible, you even see it at the time in this movie, like when Motoko just decides to go off and do her own thing. Like, just, I'm going to go and take the tank. He's immediate, like, don't do that. And when there's trouble, he's like, he got to go. And he seems so much more concerned about everything that literally anyone else. And it's because of that. It's because of the way to me, that's always just because of the way he views Motoko, and the way her existence in itself is kind of his form of validation for what he is and what he is doing.
You know, Tori, now that you bring that up, there's something to be said in today's society right now, because during the coronavirus period, people are stuck inside, they're away from families, they're away from that crutch, so to say. Not to put it in such a negative manner, I don't mean it that way, but however, in the form of Bato and his reliance on Motoko to keep things simple, you realize in society in general, and say the average person or most people, when you live a lifestyle in such a way where you're conceptually distracted, maybe that's not the right word,
intoxicated by daily life.
Sure, yeah. You have your routine, you have your set mind, right? And when that set mind is taken away from you, you tend to be in a mental state where you're not familiar with. And unfortunately, during these times, we're seeing a lot of people that can't handle that, right? Everything's now exacerbated tenfold. You know, whether that's cyberbullying, for example, very, very prominent in what Ghost in the Shell kind of hinted towards, is the aspect of the net and how it takes advantage of our society, and you know, you can essentially be someone else in this alternative universe, right? So Bato, in many ways, is like the blue-collar person whom his mindset has the once you take away the simplicity of it all, he doesn't know what to do, right? And we see that very, very easily in that tank scene, where Motoko has taken upon herself, in her mindset, to do what she feels is right, and body damned or not, she's going to get the job done. And she doesn't care of the mindset how that will affect, in this case, Bato.
Mm-hmm.
Did I make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably could, like, if I had a script and I could explain that more coherently, but I hope that got the point across.
This is a podcast, no script.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing it live. Well,
Doing it live,
not to
boys.
you, not to you listening.
I
But,
keep having flashbacks of fucking Pandora the Christmas show. Because like that show.
yeah,
That
Ghost
show
in
is
the
so
Urn.
bad,
It's not the
but,
same
like,
as the Ghost in the
some
Shell.
of the themes, like it's really sticking, especially because it's from Shiro as well. But that show is just like the transition and stage, and the main character is basically a Makoto as well, but she can handle shit better than Motoko apparently. The little girl, she's just very fine at having a full cybernetic body, even though it's not a perfect body. Like, it's still in development, the technology in that show, so she has... Sometimes her members failed, and, she has a few problems. She needs maintenance and things like that. It's something that Motoko doesn't need to do. Everyone is a little bit adapting to the future, how the future will play out, and become Ghost in the Shell. So yeah, there's a few themes in that show, and I keep getting the fucking flashbacks to that. I can't
Stop thinking about that show. It's bad.
Yeah, no. I mean, you have many other like points. We still haven't even talked about the Puppet Master, which is like this huge plot of the show.
So the Puppet Master is this essential AI being whom has their original body destroyed, and now they're kind of lost in the net. And the story revolves around the Puppet Master being the biggest terrorist there is, right? Destroying bodies left and right, political disadvantages, etc. You name it, right? That is, and it's up to Section 9 to stop the Puppet Master. Now, that brings us to evolution. Okay, that's my second theme I have written here. Attaining a vital element of creating new life. That's the aspect of evolution I took from this. Of course, there's, technology and the state of being, all that, but from my viewpoint on this particular watch, I took it as the element of creating new life. The Puppet Master wishes to merge with Motoko in order to experience not just its own death, but also creating a new being through this merge with Motoko. However, Motoko is limiting herself from her desire to remain human, because there's still that sliver, right? Her issue is, in fact, she can't reproduce without a real body. So she's lost that ability to create new life. The whole aspect of being female, from the corporeal being standpoint. Physical. She even addresses the question of evolution, such as when her ghost floats in and out and she reaches the surface, emerging as something new. Very, very complicated theme here in just how Ghost in the Shell tackles this form of evolutionary standpoint. This created a lot of thought. And the Puppet Master itself, even though it's an AI, in itself wants to obtain this next set. And I believe, I didn't write this down, I believe there's that conversation where the Puppet Master tells Motoko, because I don't quite recall why it seeked out Motoko specifically. Is it because she's entirely cybernetic and it's only the ghost that remains?
He said that it's because they are in essence the same.
The mirror image, I remember that.
Yeah.
But I don't quite remember if there was more to it than that was explained.
The only other thing that they talk about is in the conversation with the other guys when they cracked the joke that I don't know, maybe he fell in love with someone. That's another one. So, I mean, there's
A
that.
joke with underlying meaning. Yeah, maybe. So, the puppet master says to Motoko, let's reach this next set of consciousness, right? It kind of brings to that point of religion, actually, where life after death, or you want to reach nirvana, right? Reach a being better than your current self. And the question Motoko constantly asks herself is, well, will I remain the same, right? That's very important to her, but you don't know how important that lies because she's given away so much of her physical being. It's very complicated and interesting. It's in my opinion, it's one of the most complicated of the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean, it also wraps up quite nicely in that sense that, like, at the end, because that's also kind of the final note they leave you on. It's like, after everything has happened, after everything's gone down, Motoko was saved, kind of brought back, and she gets that child body. And it's like, when she's about to leave, Bato can't contain himself. He has to ask, are you still the same Motoko? And her answer is literally just,
and is that when she quotes
essentially
the Bible, I believe. It's like when I was a kid, I made kids things, I had kids thoughts. Now I'm an adult. I have adult thoughts and adult actions and things like that. Oh, that line is so good. Oh, but yeah. There's even like, it's not even
such
the
a satisfying ending.
Dude, the Blade Runner do android's dream of electric ship in this movie is such a strong aspect with evolution. It kind of ties up a lot of the things with the identity, being a puppet, seeing yourself as a puppet or as a human, because you yourself as a viewer has always this very uncomfortable feeling of not knowing if what they're showing you is a human or not. I remember watching this movie the first time, and you have the secretaries of Section 9, the little robot secretaries. And I was like, oh, all right, they have all the humans working there, and why not? And then you have that scene with the hands just popping open a bunch. And you're like, holy shit! Like they are not actually they have cybernetic bodies, but you don't know if it's a humanoid. And then there's like this scene where one of them is just fried. They just put her out and put another one in. It's like, oh shit! It was never human, or it didn't have a ghost to begin with. It was just a robot. Why do you make a robot like that look like human, right? Like if there's no other function other than just typing information and relaying information to others, why not just an AI? Why make an actual human-looking robot to do that job? And it's highly uncomfortable. You don't know if it's a human, if it's a robot. Like there's sometimes that very uncomfortable and unpleasant feeling of something is different, something might be different, and I cannot point it what. It's very nice.
No, and that's another thing that Ghost in the Shell just does really well, because it's the same thing when you get to standalone complex and whatnot. When you get the
Tachikoma?
Yeah, things, the fucking those robots, the Tachikoma, that's the ones, right? They look like spiders more than humans, but goddamn it, they have more personality than anything else. It's like they forwent the fucking the real looking bodies, but they decide to give them like childish sense of wonder and personality. It's like, wow.
There's even the
they have
nice
to remain human in
the
some way, huh?
Organic oil and things in standalone complex.
Yeah.
So that takes us into our, at least my last theme I have written down here, and that's Cartesian dualism. Again, I had to look this particular one up of what it was called, but it's the concept of the body is physical while the mind is separate, or soul, if you will. This is in question at the start of the film from the very, very beginning. With a guy that has kind of the false memories implanted within him. So what is indeed the difference between a ghost or consciousness in a body versus an AI in a synthetic one. That it's the underlying theme through it all. Like, evolution's kind of the surface, identity is the question, central dualism is the arc. That's how I took it as. Motoko and the puppet master come to the conclusion to merge with each other to reach the higher level of consciousness, as is their decision. Is there no difference? And that's what you already mentioned, because Bato asks her, like, what are you? Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Good little story arc with the central Cartesian dualism.
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it.
sure. Yeah, no, there is definitely a lot of that, and it is an interesting concept, especially in the sense that, like, the whole, like, virtual things, like, is it real? And I also love that little side tangent that they kind of get onto there, because which kind of got set up for some of the stuff later, but the whole, like, when it's all said and done, when he kind of finally gets revealed that your entire life, or at least what you thought was your life, is a lie. And he's like, his first response is just, can we erase my memory? To which Tokusa sadly has to inform that they can't do that, it's too dangerous.
Right.
Like, there was only, like, 2 confirmed cases of successful memory erasure, essentially.
Yeah, so now he has to live with the fact that what he feels isn't indeed real. Right?
Yeah.
Which is quite the conundrum.
I mean, yeah,
he knows.
It's like waking up one day and realizing that your entire life
man,
was
I cannot
dream.
wait to
Wow.
finish this job and go
How do you
back
deal with that?
to my woman and my daughter. It's like, what do you mean you live alone? It's like, oh, my heart, oh.
My heart, it's broken.
I mean, it's like, you could take the like, the theory is like, the theory that's thrown out, like, how our life is essentially just a simulation. Imagine if you live your entire life, like we live our entire life now, and then you finally die, and when you die, you wake up in a container of some sort, and you fucking put your future cyber helmet off and be like,
yes, the Matrix.
Now what? No,
Yeah,
I know,
the
right?
Matrix,
But, like,
yeah, that was a cool life.
No, I know, right?
You
But
were
just-
only in there for 60 seconds.
Just
but
imagine
I lived
that
for
feeling. It's
72
like-
years.
it's
Fuck!
like, whoa. But, like, yeah, no, I know, but just imagine that feeling, though, for a second. Like,
yeah, just
that must be
just
so
just
fucked.
at what is happening. Just kind of like you just die and kind of blinking. It's just the ending of Evangelion, right? Everyone, like, around you just clapping and stuff. I was like, what? It's
Yeah,
like,
you did it!
yeah.
Did what? So where do we
Music
take
is
this
amazing.
now?
Kenji Kawai, just Kenji Kawai being
This is a-
animation is very good. Doesn't look like
Yes.
95. Unfortunately, animation kind of gets bad. Not bad, but standardized. It's a better term in new anime. So everything is technically good, but hey.
I would
Look,
not
it's-
say everything is
It's
technically
better
fine.
than. The mechanical design is just something else. You have Shoji Kawamori and Atsushi Takeuchi. Both of them are the designs they did. Like Takeuchi did Appleseed. I talked a little bit of Shoji before. Takeuchi did Appleseed, Armitage, a bunch of Gundam stuff. Bubblegum Crisis, he was animated in that. Jingaeyu Densetsu, the new one. Mechanical design. Guilty Crawl mechanic design. Like, those guys are really, really good at just mechanical design. The show, everything has a meaning. Like JD said, nowadays things just look like plastic breaking or glass breaking. these guys do like there is fluids and fluid lines, hydraulic pipes broken, and fluid dynamics and everything else. It's
Oh man, that
and
scene
her-
where
yeah,
she's trying
her
to rip
body's
the tank
ripping
head
off
off,
and-
and her body is her android body is convulsing, and the hydraulics in her back
Yeah.
are freaking out, and the arms get ripped off. You see all the wiring of the wrists get up, and then this is, I didn't think of this until just now, is when Bato's standing over her just decrepit mechanical body, and she can't move. And it's funny that we call her she, because Motoko even asked that question herself, like, why do you call me that? Why do you refer me in that way? She looks over at him with only her eyes. And this is a case of the movie kind of aging better in a lot of ways, because now, in that moment, she looks more robot than human, right?
Yeah.
So it really gets that point across. Absolutely love these sort of details that the
It's
the
not
movie
only
entails,
not only
and,
the
man,
not only the
just it ages so well.
the bodies, but also the tachikomas that appear. I don't think there are the tachikoma. There is another type of tachikoma, logikoma, I believe. But I think the logikoma just they don't do combat. So I think it's just a tachikoma with Bato, the weapons, like that suitcase machine gun they use at the beginning, where like you just pop it off the suitcase. Everything, bolts, cars. It's just not boxes. Everything is well designed. It's really nice. If you're a mechanical engineer or studying to be like any kind of engineer, just watch Ghost in the Shell. You don't need to pay attention to the mood themes, and why not just pay attention to the mechanical design, which is amazing on its own.
Yeah, you could probably get those as well.
Oh yeah, the design book must be awesome
as well. This is just one of the things that but this is just one of the things that I particularly like about animation in general. I mean, obviously, like video quality and whatnot, and audio quality and shit like that, but a well-designed, well-animated movie is going to look good no matter how old it is. That's just, you don't get around that.
Well, we saw that with Akira. We've seen that with Future Boy Conan.
Even Tank Place,
Pat Labor holds up very well.
I mean, the designs are good in Tank Place at least. No, okay. Yeah.
No, I know. I just don't like it. But yeah, no, definitely. Right? So it is why it is quite annoying seeing people, especially now when it's like, oh, stuff like animation and designs, like character designs matter, but everything else isn't that important. Because I feel like that thought is kind of even mimicked in the industry today as well. It's like, we only really focus on the things that matters, like people's eyes and why. That's one of the things that I feel like when we move forward, like when fucking anime decides to take another step forward, I definitely feel like there's the 2010s. Yeah, it's pretty much, it's going to be kind of similar to the early 2000s in that regard. It's going to be very much a product of its time. Like the design that we're known for now is going to be very much just a product of its time that's not going to age well.
I mean, only time will tell, of course.
Yeah, sure, we could go even worse.
Generic cop-out statement that is. But yeah, we are seeing, at least in this retrocast, in a lot of anime that we've covered, the early 2000s style does not hold up to the test of time. Not one bit. It looks, well, less than comparatively to decades before it. The good shows, anyways.
Yeah,
preference that.
Yeah, obviously, you have your outliers. You will always have your outliers. It's like going back to the 90s, going back to the 80s. Everything didn't look amazing back then either.
No, Sailor Moon was absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm still very upset that downloaded pretty well.
Well, it's Sailor Moon.
Might have to do more.
Yep.
Pains me. Well, very satisfying ending for Ghost in the Shell. I love its themes. Now that I'm older, it gets better with my age and the anime's age. I'm gonna say it outright. At worst, I can't give it less than an 8 out of 10 at this point in my life. It's very complicated with its rhetoric and its themes and its symbolism. So the older you get, I feel you will appreciate and understand it more. So I'm gonna base my review score off of a minimum rather than what I see it as.
Give it your score.
Hey, 8 out of 10.
Okay. So before I give my score, I want to just mention, because we've obviously been very positive about this, and for good reason. It's a good movie. I will say, it is obviously, as with anything, nothing is above criticism.
Sure.
And Ghost in the Shell, for as good as it is, I did realize one thing when I rewatched it today. There is so much about the setting of Ghost in the Shell and about Security Section 9 and whatnot that I come to realize that I only know because I've watched more Ghost in the Shell. Because the first Ghost in the Shell does not really bother with letting you know a lot of stuff. Like, you'll
There's
obviously figure out
there's
that,
a lot of missing information.
You'll obviously figure out that Security Section 9 has some sort of ties to the government, especially with Adamaki, and, you know, that they're acting as some sort of police, but, like, there's never a specific time where they mention stuff like, you know, it's an anti-terror group, for example.
It's
stuff
almost,
like that is never mentioned.
It's almost like a 60s, 70s CIA, a rogue agency at this point. Even at the first Ghost in the Shell, they are pretty much a rogue agency. But you need to watch a lot of Ghost in the Shell to get to that conclusion, yeah.
Because I feel like the movie did have some sort of expectations of the viewer to begin with, that you actually know a little bit about Ghost in the Shell before going in. So, and that definitely impacted me, because I remember when I watched this movie the first time, I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't love it. And I gave it a 7. But I rewatched it today, and I loved the movie, and I upped it to an 8. But a lot of that came from the fact that there was so much, like, not hyper necessary information, but stuff that just, like, I only realized upon rewatching that, like, I didn't know these things when I watched it the first time. But now I do. And that kind of helps, because it puts a lot of stuff in context. It kind of gets rid of the, you know, the kind of the more tedious details of the show that the movie just, isn't really too bothered with. And that's nothing new. Oshii is guilty of this in a lot of his movies. A lot of the details is kind of, like the minor details of characterization and stuff like that in the world. He's kind of like, whatever. It's you'll figure it out when you watch it. You'll see what they do, right? Which is, it's not necessarily bad, but it is. It would have been nice. Like, I wouldn't have minded if the movie was 10 minutes longer just to get a little bit of an explanation in for certain things. But, you know, it's still a really good movie, and it's just you're not going to get around it. Like, you will have heard this you will have heard this multiple times before, and I'll say it again. It's a must-watch movie.
Yep, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's pretty nice. Also, like, just it's available on YouTube to rent and to buy. And to rent, it's less than $1. So you can, if you feel like rewatching it, you can just go, like, you know, you don't want to just sail the 7 seas. You can just pretty much get it on YouTube HD. Really nice. And it's the 1995 version, not the Ghost in the Shell 2.0.
Alrighty. Well, that takes us to the end of the podcast. Rave review all around. On our next episode, coming in June, we continue our little journey of Attack number 1, episodes 15 through 30. So we're pulling together some part 2s here coming up over the summer. More Legend of Galactic Heroes will come. Touch. We did not
well, actually, that's a lie. We did forget about Touch.
we did. We're putting it in. We're putting it in. So we are coming back to those part 2s. Very excited about that. part 3 in Legend of Galactic Heroes case. So if you're keeping track and keeping score, do that. And we got a crazy random OVA episode coming up. Very much looking forward to that. That's going to be ridiculous. you might hear some ones on that one for reviews.
I don't know, man. I have a feeling we're going to get into so bad it's absolutely amazing territory.
that could very, very well be the case. So yes, again, we launched the new website, RedLeafRetrocast.blogspot.com. Head on over there. Our new host site is Anchor. So if you are an iTunes listener or connected to iTunes in any way, be a little bit more patient on that end. It should be there eventually. And if not, hey, Spotify, YouTube, Red Leaf Retrocast, seek us out. We're basically anywhere you could possibly be. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.
Peace.